So the first item on the agenda is emergencies. I'd like to know how we would handle like after-hour emergencies. Is there a procedure and how we would handle that, please?
Good evening. The first time my phone rang, I want to say that. Yeah, but I usually get the call either from the alarm company or from our guys. I'm going to give you a good example that happened on Mother's Day. The police department from New Windsor called me around 3 o'clock that there's water pouring out of the building by the boiler room. Fair enough, right? 3 o'clock. So I called the people that can help, and we'll go there. We have it wasn't a water main, it was the backflow preventer that the check valve exploded. So, I get a call, I call contractor. If it's a plumbing emergency, we have plumbers and electricians in-house. If it's something big like a boiler, we have contractors that are on state contract. What happened, in Guinea Avenue, we had that water main break, and we called 2 contractors, and the one that we used, it wasn't on state contract, and believe it or not, a board member said to me, Andy, there's a contractor that have a contract, and I didn't know that. So from that point on, we started using that person. I didn't know they were on state contract. So we have a list of vendors that we call, and we start calling whoever answers the phone first. That's the one that is coming, basically what it is. If the amount is, I think it's $20,000, I don't know the exact amount, we'll bring it to the board to declare an emergency. And we had to do it after the fact. We had to fix the problem to open school. What happened in GAMS, it was the very first day of school. So I left the convocation to Guinea Avenue to open school the next day. We left that night around midnight, and the next 7 in the morning, the teachers were there. So we go, from my call to calling people to get it done. I usually call the superintendent and Onyx or one and the other, let them know. If Kimberly is in town, I'll send her a text, but I notify. And usually in the building, I will call the principal, let them know what's going on. And if we had to close the building, I will call the superintendent and then call the principal to let them know.
So just to add to that, each building, along with Mr. Velez, the building level principal is on the alarm company. So if we get an alarm or if there's a concern, those things are relayed. If it is an emergency project, or if it's a facilities or plant, depending on the cost, we're going to either have to absorb it or go to the board and ask for an emergency to declare whatever occurred as an emergency project to see if those funds can be accessed from a reserve fund. And it's a lot of different situations. We've had emergency projects for roofs, the water main, and different things. What the goal is ultimately to do is to ensure that we can open the building. So we have to make sure that it's the health and safety of the building is intact so that we can open it up for instruction the next day. So that's the ultimate goal. Usually in those conversations, the building level principal is also, and the assistant superintendents are also in contact to ensure that that can take place.
Thank you. My next question is about vendors. I mean, we're a big district, and we cover Newburgh, town of Newburgh, New Windsor, and there's a lot of businesses in the area. Do we try to use vendors that are locally, that live in our area, that work in our area, that pay taxes in our area? Do we try to use vendors that are local as much as possible, or does it always have to go out for bid?
So that question is that it depends. So we have to, with expenditure, Mr. Velez kind of alluded to that in his last response. There are, we have to abide by general municipal law. There are instances where if a purchase for equipment or different things, there are certain vendors that the state goes through that process and designates vendors as approved for under state contract, which means that the services and goods are within the framework that has been approved and bidded out by the state. There are also different contracts that other state education departments do participate in, which we can piggyback off of. The term is called piggybacking, where we can piggyback on another state's bid. We do try to do local. If there is a way for us to use a vendor, we do RFP. Any services or goods that are over a certain amount have to go out to bid. If they're under, we try to utilize. There's many vendors that we do use that are in the area. I know as a part of our larger scale projects, we try to make sure that we include local businesses, local unions, to ensure that the money stays within our area.
Thank you. That's the answer I was actually hoping to get, you know. We're a big school district, people live here, work here, and we can utilize them. Thank you. My next question, I know I'm sorry, go ahead, Andy.
With the local vendors, there's a purchase threshold that if you go over that, you have to go out to bid. But for example, like the flag guy in Windsor, we buy all the flags there. So we try to use small stuff, the small vendors. But if you get, I believe it's 15,000 and up, then you have to get pricing. But we try to use local vendors when we can for small stuff. Like David Supply, we use them for mulch because they're here. Last year, we have to do a ton of repairs. So I went to Ms. Roaring, I go, I'm going to go over the threshold for David's. So with this year, we are putting a bid for landscaping supplies so we can secure a vendor because we're doing more work outside. So I'm working with Ms. Roaring right now and the purchasing agent, and that bid is going to go next week so we can try to get a local vendor. He has to win the bid. If it's somebody from the outside, it is what it is, but we're putting a bid for that.
Thank you, that's very helpful. So the threshold is 15,000.
It's $19.99, $19,999. You know, but we do like to track that because if it is, you know, close to that amount, if you're using $16,000 or $17,000, you know that next year you're going to have to go out to bid, and you don't want that to stop operations for the district. So that foresight and understanding and knowing and monitoring what your costs are across all services, especially operationally, is important so that you don't get jammed up by a bid. So, you know, we've gotten the process of bidding. I think a lot of the times the ideal where a component district is to, a lot of districts use BOCEs and other services to try to get to stay in accordance with general municipal law. But we've really been trying to really exercise our right to bid in order to get the best cost for goods and services at the lowest price for the district.
Thank you. Who sets that amount? Is that state or is that local?
It's general municipal law. So there's districts and municipalities are under general municipal law, which are laws that are by the state comptroller's office on how we can purchase. And it's a part of our purchasing policy, which is 6700, that kind of goes in and sets forth those guidance so that we're in compliance with general municipal law. So we have a purchasing policy and a purchasing regulation, as well as internal processes and procedures that are rolled out to staff.
Thank you. So my next question is on, I think it was January 28th, we approved athletic field repairs. Has that been completed? All done? Excellent, thank you. Next item I want to talk about is the locker rooms. We got a bid for electrical for the locker rooms. Are we going to do anything with like security cameras, run Ethernet cable along with the electrical while we're doing the electrical work?
I'm gonna wait, I guess that's a part of the capital, is that a part of the capital project update?
Well, it is not that specific
Okay.
of an update, but right now, we don't have any plans for cameras within the locker room. Obviously, you could see that would cause some controversy. But we are integrating, obviously, with the controls, with the district's control vendor for the HVAC systems, you know, telephones, et cetera. But no plans right now for actual cameras in the locker room.
Okay, thank you. So the next item, item 914, a contract change for pipe for $42,000. I guess the lentils or the design was an error. So they're going to, for about the cost of the shimming, they're going to take the lentils down and replace them?
Well, it wasn't all the lintels that needed to be taken down. There were several that were in place when this error was caught. It was a dimensional error that required we supply shims, and this was to allow the brickwork to get back in sequence. And so they needed to address some of them that were already in place, and then the remainder of them that weren't in place. And it wasn't on every single window as well. It was one specific type of window.
Thank you. So next item, I see we awarded the bid for the locker room renovation to Iron Sword. And those renovations are supposed to begin, I'm sorry, you could address that?
They are in process right now. They're in the middle of demolition, and if you go down there, you'll see the whole exterior wall underneath the elevated walkway has been completely removed and ready for the new construction. We have a temp wall in that location, so obviously the space is secured. They're midway through the demolition. We've already done all of the abatement work that was done over the break. So we're in process. We're reviewing submittals. You know, we're in process.
So the bids came in series. So prior to, I think it was spring break, the board was brought resolutions about the abatement for asbestos. So those approvals went through and the work is ongoing. And I know that that's a part of the capital project update.
It is, and you'll see that there are 2 items on the docket for contracts related to the locker rooms, both for the purchase of lockers and the purchase of the controls that are up for approval tonight.
Thank you. The last item I want to talk about is I was looking at the buildings information that Andy supplied us at one of the meetings, and our buildings are getting very, very, very old. Do you see any challenges or emergency type repairs we're going to be need shortly?
You could go first. So,
Okay.
I'm gonna start and then you're gonna go. Okay, so as a part of every single school district, we have to do building condition surveys as required by the state education department. What this does is it helps the Board of Education and the community determine bigger decisions about what is happening with our facilities, as well as how to plan and project projects to keep our buildings within code compliance, as well as just in good working order. So our BCS is about usually every 5 years. I know that Mr. Velez and Mrs. Roaring have called for an earlier BCS survey just to ensure that we do give the community and the board time to kind of weigh out some of these decisions. We know that we're on the heels of a pretty large capital project. We still have HVAC work. We still have the completion of another building, as well as just repairs and additions that are going on at New Windsor. We just completed Heritage. So to look at the scale and the scope of what is needed, and sometimes you will see propositions, like on our current budget proposal, there are propositions for some needed repairs that we're seeing. So this should be something that is cyclical. We should be always looking, always requesting. That's a part of what capital improvement is in order to make sure that everything is in good working order.
I was going to say about the BCS, 2 of our schools are already over 100 years old, and NFA is coming in 2 years. So we always have a plan. The BCS is due the 25-26 school year. So the building condition survey is done next year. So we'll be working on that with CSRH. And then when that report is ready, that will come to the board sometime late spring, early summer next year, and then the board determine what projects they want to take. One thing that I can tell you is that over the last 24 years that I work here, we've done every roof except for a small one that I'm going to talk to you in a second. Yeah, the we cut. So in the next couple of years, we're going to start doing roof again. I mean, buildings are getting old, and the locker room in NFA was built in 1965, and we are fixing now. So sometimes it takes time because you have to go through all the bidding process, and we get reimbursement from the state. It's not like we can go and spend $3 million if we want to. If we follow the process, you get a large percentage back. Yes, building 8, yes.
So just to be clear, the BCS is not scheduled to be done this year.
Next year.
It's scheduled to be done in the 2026 year. And now it's on a January to December schedule. So when they went to the 5-year cycle, it went from a school year, calendar year, to an actual calendar year. And then we get filed by March 1st of 2027.
And I think the point of that is that we are anticipating to jump right on it. So the first day that we could start, we're going to start.
Yeah, we had suggested to Kimberly if she wanted to do it early, she wanted to do something this year to start capital planning efforts, based on the fact that it takes a long time to advance that. What the education department suggested is that those costs could be reimbursed with any projects that move forward from that point. So that was an option to the district if they wanted to do it a year early.
I think that's an excellent option. I think we should bring that up to the board for review. if we can put it on maybe the next agenda?
Well, I definitely, I know with building aid, also, we also have to remember, and this is probably why that decision was made, and I cannot speak for Mrs. Roaring. The other thing with building aid, we have a lot of projects that are currently going on. So we also have to, there's still closeouts. We just finished the Heritage,
Road.
the Heritage Road. We're still in the middle of New Windsor. We're still building a building. So we also want to make sure that we're timing the reimbursements. The other part of those reimbursements is enrollment and students in the seats. So there's a part of it where there's a reorganization that has to take place as well, in order to make sure that we are receiving full aid. So, we don't want to rush ahead and then put something forward that we're not going to be able to fund. So we're trying to make sure that we have the first capital project that we brought to voters in 2019 completed. There are smaller capital projects that we are still trying to propose. For some reason, I can't think of the second one. We have the auditorium.
North Auditorium.
And what was the other one? The geothermal project that are on to kind of push forward. So in order for us to make sure that we're getting our reimbursements, that we're closing out projects, and that we are also doing final cost aid reports to the state, we need to ensure that we're doing it in a timely manner. So that's why a little bit of time is not going to,
Yep.
we also want to make sure that we're respectful to our community and what that would cost.
And the district just recently did an enrollment projection update.
Yes.
And the reason that was done was because we're renegotiating the building aid for both the CTE building
Yes.
as well as New Windsor to secure more building aid for those projects than were originally intended. So we're taking a different tactic. The education department has been open to those discussions, but they wanted an evaluation starting with the enrollment projections. Now we're doing an assessment of all the space at the high schools and at the elementary schools so that we can try to increase the amount of aid for those projects.
Thank you very much. I was actually going to speak on the geothermal. I know we applied for the grants. Was there any update on those? We applied for them ahead of time?
We have to wait for the budget vote, because the budget vote is going to decide whether the community is okay with that expenditure. And once that occurs, then we will complete our application and determine whether or not, the state will determine whether or not our application is granted or not. And next steps will be provided after that.
Thank you. I have nothing else. Victoria, do you have anything to add? Oh, Andy, I'm sorry.
I want to add a little, last week, we had a heavy rainstorm, and Ms. Peterson and Kimberly were in Chestnut, and they happened to look at a window on the second floor. So they come to my office and go, "What is that roof?" I go, "That's the print shop." So the print shop roof was done in 1978. It's a little old. So we had to replace it. We had a couple of leaks in there. I contacted a vendor on state contract. I got a price for just under $200,000. I'm getting another price this week. So we'll be coming to the board to ask for a budget transfer to fix that roof, because that's a print shop in the district.
Yeah.
So we'll be coming to the board soon for asking for a budget transfer to cover that expense.
Yeah, good thing for Mrs. Roaring and Ms. Peterson.
Have we done anything temporarily to protect it?
We got a protector right now.
Okay, awesome.
We got to replace it.
So upcoming, we're going to have a request for emergency roof repair at the print
Yes.
shop. Excellent.
Are we going to submit that to the education department?
Chestnut don't get any aid. It's not a school building.
Yeah, no.
So,
That's true.
so we don't get any aid, so we're just going to go ahead and do it.
Just go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
If it was a school, I would go through the process, but not.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. I have nothing else. Anybody else? Capital project, I'm sorry. Update on the capital project.
Do you want to go through the full update? This is the update that was going to be given tonight with the board meeting.
Time do we have?
And this is pretty lengthy.
You have 10 minutes.
10 minutes. I can go through the highlights.
Highlights.
It's a preview. You'll get a preview. Okay, so these are all the projects that we're going to talk about tonight. I won't go through the agenda. We'll start with the emergency concrete replacement. So we're nearing the finish line. Over the break, we did some additional storefront installs. We have one more to go, which is below the concrete slab, and then we've got half of the traffic coating still to install as well, and that'll go in at the same time. So we've got the upper level of the traffic coating complete. So we expect that we'll be complete with this sometime in July, and then we'll close it out in August. So, but it is actually looking very, very nice. Here you can see some of the finished product. You can see the new traffic coding. You can see the new door systems that were put in place. This is on the upper level. We still have the lower level to do. They ran out of time over the break. The circulation project, as you alluded to, is complete now. We're in closeout for this project. It actually came out very, very nice. Unfortunately, we had to relocate that water main. That was truly unfortunate discovery. But it is done, it is complete, and it's working extremely well, exactly as we intended, especially with the queue lanes. So that is open and ready for business.
Awesome.
Really came out beautiful. Our Genio did a really, really great job. And so again, we're in closeout. We're expecting to close that out. We're doing all the closeout paperwork and such, and then we'll have it wrapped up by June.
Excellent.
All of this shows that we are still pretty significantly under budget for this project when we tally up everything as we are to date, which we don't say that too often, which so that's a good thing. The locker rooms, as you know, we've begun this work. We've done the abatement. We did that over the break so that no students were in the building. They are in the middle of demolition for all the existing construction. We've already taken down the exterior wall that's going to be replaced with hard construction to facilitate the new plan. Again, we're looking at November for an anticipated substantial completion and closeout by January. So that's right on track right now. So we're gonna keep it that way. Of course, we awarded all the contracts and for both GC electrical and mechanical, and then plumbing. And then tonight you'll see we have the locker purchase of the locker and benches on the docket for approval, and the HVAC control systems, and that's using the district's preferred vendor. CTE is moving along very nicely. We're well underway. I hope everyone's had a chance to go by the site. I want to get to the pictures, but we're still on track. We're looking at anticipated completion July 31st. Gives the district a full month, a little over a month to move in, test systems, get ready for the start of the school year, and then the program will begin September of 2026. Here you can see the gym wall's already up. Actually, the steel, a lot of the steel work is already in for the gym roof. Most of the roof is on at this point. Now we're working on the closure of the exterior envelope with all of the light gauge metal framing and steel work. And then obviously all the insulated materials, and then there'll be brickwork over the top of this per the renderings that you've seen before. So you can see we're moving along quite rapidly on the CTE. And a lot of the roof system on this wing of the building is already in place. It's gone very smoothly. The students have been integrated into this construction, learning about construction systems, which has been terrific. We had the photography students out there. We were teaching them not only photography, but use of the drones. And they were practicing with that. So it was really they had a great time on site. That was early last week. So you can see the back side of the gym. You can see this is up on the second floor. Inside of the gym, you can see some of the steel work going in. The long span joists are going in place. They're all in place now. The upper corridors along the wing in the back. And again, just a recap of the costs. Right now, total anticipated cost, including all the contingencies and furniture and equipment, we're right at about $87 million. Change orders to date, of course, the big one was the unforeseen, unsuitable soils. Beyond that, we've had pretty limited change orders relative to the overall construction. We do have allowances that we have to utilize as well, but we have a total contingency still remaining of over $5 million. New Windsor, again, we're in progress. We've got the various phases of New Windsor. As you know, we let out construction contracts for phase for the second phase of the project, which we received no bids. We went out for a second time and we received no bids, so now we are trying to negotiate to proceed with that work as per the advice of council. The bigger part of this is, and that's all this site work. The bigger part of New Windsor is we're up at SED for the addition to New Windsor. We've redeveloped that to reduce costs, also improve how the program works, working with the administrators. SED has agreed to give us a face-to-face, but basically when we submitted it, they picked it right up and started giving us their comments, so we don't really even need a face-to-face. They picked it up the same day we submitted it. So that's going well. We've already cleared a lot of those comments, so we expect to be done with the comments from SED by the end of the month, so if not sooner. And so then we're gonna go right out to bid. So I can't tell you much about Prop 5 because I'm not involved with it, so.
So, I think we can cut it off right here,
Okay.
and we can do it to the regular meeting. Chris.
Sure, because Pasquale from Labella will be here to do Prop 5.
Very good. So, motion to close the Facilities Committee? Second. Meeting adjourned.